We got only 2 more speakers this afternoon. We're kind of wrapping things up. It looks like the sunshine's going to hold out for us. We couldn't have asked for a beautiful day. And I take it that the good Lord has shown His favor on what we've done here today. To come together as neighbors, as friends, and most of all, as loyal Americans, responsible to our nature for our mutual benefit and security. Our next speaker is the keynote. She was here last year. Many of you weren't here, didn't get a chance to hear her. But this is a very special lady. She was a network anchor. She worked on all 3 of the major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS. And to be quite frank, as she describes it, she got tired of the liberal bias in the media. It bothered her to the extent that she was willing to give up her paycheck and step away from her job because it became intolerable to go to work each day. She's a certified NRA instructor. She's from the great state of Texas. She understands the Second Amendment and that without it, the others don't really have a chance. Please bring to the stage Jan Morgan.
Hello, North Carolina. So happy to be back here among friends. I've been here a couple of days already and I plan on staying a few more so that I can get to visit with more people. I'm teaching a gun class in King, North Carolina tomorrow. If you're interested, guys and gals, it's not for women only. It's for men and women. In fact, in my last class I taught, I had a Navy SEAL, a Marine, and a retired state trooper. So anyway, if you're interested in taking that class, USA Tactical in the back has my business cards. It has my cell phone number. You do need to call me tonight and let me know. It's $75. You'll be tied up about 4 hours. And we're going to cover gun basics. It's not a shooting class. We will not be at a range. I'm sorry about that, but didn't have time to get a range lined up. So, Lieutenant Dan, I don't know if Lieutenant Dan is still here, but I enjoyed your speech. And Lieutenant Dan's outfit is kind of how I intended to dress today. You know, nice and conservative and safe.
You look good!
And I brought an entire suitcase full of business professional looking clothes like I wore last year. What? But then last night when I went to the militia campground, thank God for the Stokes County Militia. I just love you guys. They provide security for me both years that I've been here because my life is threatened repeatedly, as Gotti Edelman understands. When you talk about Islam in this country, it's not only politically correct, it's dangerous. So the Stokes County Militia provides support for me. But I went to their campground last night for a barbecue, and in addition to providing me with bodyguards today, one of their members handed me this .45, and he said, just keep it on you while you're there. And then a couple of extra mags just in case my shooting isn't, you know, just so great. And anyway, I thought, you know, this is actually one of the few times I can open carry. Most states in this country, you can't do this. And so this was the only outfit that I had in all my wardrobe that had a belt that would hold this kind of weight. So hence the non-professional look today. But I do feel safe. You know, liberals are always asking me, so why do you need an AR-15?
Yeah.
Why do you need a high-capacity magazine? Why do you need multiple firearms? Well, I don't know about you folks, but the last time I checked, it was the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Needs.
That's right. Yeah.
There are a few things that I want to cover with you today. I'm going to try to stay within my time limit. 3 things that I want to talk to you about today. America is under attack from an enemy within, number 1. Number 2, all is not hopeless. And number 3, I'm going to talk about how we're going to win and what your role is in that end game.
Bob.
The Second Amendment is under an unprecedented attack in this country. And when you talk about winning what we're up against, you can't defend life and you can't win anything if you are not armed. See, history has proven that. Did you know that in the 20th century, 170 million people have been annihilated by their own governments after being disarmed? So you see, history proves gun control has never been about guns, folks. It's about control.
Right.
And it's time for everyone in America to understand that. Our founding fathers knew it. They understood it. When you talk about the Second Amendment and what it means to us and why it's so important and why I'm so passionate about it, it's because, folks, when you look at the overall picture, it is our last line. That Second Amendment is like that last line that we've drawn in the sand. We have allowed our government to overstep in so many ways over the decades. This has not just been happening since Barack Obama was elected. We've been headed this direction for a long, long time. Well, the Second Amendment is our last line of defense, folks. And if we allow the government to infringe on that any more than they already have, then we have no way to fight back. The media has played a pivotal role in what is happening with our country, and they've played a major role in aiding and abetting this enemy that we have within. You know, when you look at the mass shootings on television, for example, the media can't wait to run on TV and talk about those terrible, horrible guns. Those guns that are killing all these people. You know, if guns kill people, I'm trying to figure out why it is that we don't have mass people dying at gun shows around this country. Because thousands of guns are there, and thousands of law-abiding, gun-toting citizens are there. Another reason that the media is aiding our enemy within is because they're not being honest with the American people. The media will tell you every time anyone is killed with a gun. But what they don't tell you is that 90 million gun owners with over 300 million guns in this country killed no one last year. And what they don't tell you is that 2.5 million times last year, think about that, folks, 2.5 million times last year, guns were pulled by law-abiding citizens in self-defense to save lives. So guns don't kill people, guns save lives. In most of those instances where guns were pulled, the trigger was never pulled. All it took was a law-abiding citizen with his hand on a handgun or a shotgun or a rifle, and it stopped an attack. See, now, this is my #1 wardrobe piece, okay? Ladies, how many of you are here today without a gun? You don't have to tell us. I didn't want you to show everybody and tell everybody, but I met several ladies up front, and I was talking about all this weight on my belt, and it's bringing my belt down. So that's why I have it on my belt instead of my pants, by the way. So, but each of the ladies that I've talked with today since I've been here has said, "Oh yes, I have a gun." I said, "Do you have it with you? What is it?" You know, my husband bought it for me. I don't know. Oh, it's in my car. It's in my purse. I said, "Where's your purse?" Oh, it's in my car. It's better to have a gun and not need it than to need a gun and not have it. And that's why I always carry. And if I can't carry, I don't go there. And if more citizens would take that kind of stand in this country with businesses that put those little guns prohibited signs on the doors, if all of the guns, think about that, 300 million guns, 90 million gun owners. If 90 million people would stand up and say, "You know what, Mr. So-and-so, with your business, I see this little sign on your door that says, I can't bring my gun in here. Well, I just wanted you to know that I really wanted to do business with you today. I had some money to spend, and I really needed some of the products in your business. But unless you can guarantee me that during the time that I am inside your business establishment unarmed, that you're going to defend my life and the lives of my family members who are with me. If you can't guarantee that, then I can't do business with you. If you say it enough, you'd be surprised how many business owners will take those signs down. They don't want to make a big deal about it. You know, Starbucks didn't want to make a big deal about it, but then when it was made a big deal, they backed off. They said, we want the gun owners in here. It's okay to conceal carry. And then they changed their minds after the liberal anti-gun people stomped on them. Then they changed their mind and said, well, actually, we're not wanting to take a stand about guns. We don't want to get into the Second Amendment thing. We just want people to have liberty. And now they're saying, no, you can't bring guns here. We don't want guns here. So you have to be vocal. Another thing the mass media is negligent in is when they're reporting about our government, they're not telling people the truth about what our government's really doing. If you look at what has happened just recently, since Barack Obama was elected, the UN Arms Treaty. I think last year when I was here, I talked a little bit about that. That's a big deal, folks. And you know, when George Bush was president and the United Nations wanted to talk about controlling our guns in the United States, and they came out with this little treaty, President Bush said, no, not only are we not going to sign that, we aren't even going to send anyone to sit at the table with you to discuss that, because the gun rights of the citizens of the United States of America belong to the citizens of the United States, not the government, and certainly not any of your governments. But what did Barack Obama do? As soon as Barack was elected, he couldn't wait to send Hillary Clinton to the United Nations, and he sent her not only to sit down with those people and discuss your rights and my rights, but he sent her with a mandate to sign that treaty. Well, the National Rifle Association and the good citizens of this country stood up and fought back, and we got it put on the back burner. Didn't get signed that first time. This time he sent John Kerry, and he sent him in the midst of a number of other things going on, and folks weren't on their game, and John Kerry signed it.
Treason!
That's right. Treason is exactly right. Now we're going to have to depend on our Senate not to ratify that treaty. So when I talk to you about the enemy within, and we know who the enemy is, do I need to name the enemy today? No, we know the enemy. Enemies, right. The enemy who represents the enemies and that whole movement of people who hate America and hate everything that we stand for. And it's made up of a variety of people, including the Muslims that Gotti Edelman, I'm sure, talked with you about today. What will happen if this treaty passes, folks, is the beginning of gun registration in this country. And gun registration leads to gun confiscation. And if you don't believe that that could happen in America, you know, this amazes me. How many gun people, gun enthusiasts will tell me when I start talking about this, they say, oh no, that will never happen in America. No, the government will never take our guns. Excuse me? Did you see what happened to the folks in New Orleans during Katrina?
Oh yeah.
It was the law-abiding citizens who lost their guns because the government and their police took them from honest people who said, yes, sir, I have a gun here. Then turn it in. It's on video. YouTube, check it out. Case after case after case. Now, the criminals and thugs, they kept their guns. So I need you to call your senator and make sure that your senator understands where you stand on this issue, and that to sign for ratification of that treaty is political suicide. Okay?
That's right.
The senators don't care? Well, then you need to make them care.
That's right.
It's time. You know, the founders, our founding fathers understood, folks, the Second Amendment. I don't believe that all gun people truly understand the importance of the Second Amendment. Our founders did. And they made sure that they put that in the Bill of Rights so that the government would understand. Do you understand that the Second Amendment is not something, it's not a right that the government gave us.
That's right.
It is not a right that says, hey, citizens, the government of the United States is giving you the right to bear arms. No, it is a mandate to the government.
Right.
It says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That is a mandate to the government, not the people. And do you know, just recently it was brought to my attention that on the Senate website, have you seen that? You guys heard about that? On the Senate website, this is out in the open. On the Senate, United States Senate website, they've gone through the Bill of Rights and they've listed them, and then over to the side, the right side, they've started defining what that means. And the Senate, your United States Senate, has stated, and it's still there, I checked this morning on their website, that there's some discrepancy about exactly who the founders meant when they talked about the right of the people. They're not sure, the Senate says, whether the founders meant the individual people or the right of the militias. Folks, the militias are the individual people. They're you and me, and even though you may not have joined a militia, if you are a law-abiding citizen with a gun or multiple guns, you are a militia because you are representing the founders of this country, what they gave us. You know, you look at the Second Amendment, it doesn't say the right of the people who are in the militia to bear arms. It doesn't say the right of the people who the government deems mentally fit. It doesn't say the right of the people who've never served their country, who don't have any sort of mental stress-related problems or depression because of what they were exposed to. It doesn't say the right of the people who pass a marksmanship exam from their state police or a written test from their state police. It says the right of the people. And you know, folks, when you look at that and how our government has tried to distort it and stretch it and change it around to help them accomplish their end mission, which is to disarm the people because they want to control the people. It disgusts me. And it's discouraging to me that so many people in this country who are gun owners say, oh, well, that doesn't affect me, that, you know, that magazine ban or this gun ban or that semi-automatic rifle ban, that doesn't affect me. I'm just, you know, I'm a hunter. You know what? When it comes to your Bill of Rights, it affects all of us. And we have to stick together. And when the folks of Colorado, the gun owners of Colorado are in trouble because their government is trying to infringe, we need to be there to help them. I was asked to speak at a rally in Albany, New York. And when I got up there, someone said, you came all the way from Texas to New York to a Second Amendment rally to speak? Really? I said, absolutely. You see these 9,000 people that are in this audience today? These are gun owners, and they're law-abiding citizens, and their rights are being trampled on. These are my brothers and my sisters. And when they're being attacked, we're all being attacked. Our founding fathers had this attitude that we need, folks, in this country. And you know, I told you we're under attack from an enemy from within. We know who that is. I told you that it's not hopeless, and it's not. I know it seems that way. And honestly, in my lifetime, I've been around 50 years now, pushing 51. I've never seen it this bad. But it's not Barack Obama's fault.
That's right.
It's not John Kerry's fault. It's not Hillary Clinton's fault that we're where we are. It is our fault.
That's right.
Because it happened on our watch.
That's right.
Because, you know, we've been living in this American dream for decades. I know I was. I was having a great life. 10 years ago, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on. I was happy, living the American dream. And then all of a sudden, I started having this nightmare, and I woke up and I realized it wasn't a nightmare. It was my new reality. I'm living it. But that's when I started fighting back. That's when I created the social media pages that I now have. And if you aren't there, my page, Gotti Edelman's page, Wild Bill's page, those are some of the top pages on social media right now. Oh, and the 2 Million Bikers for America. I'm so honored to have met Belinda B. Belinda out there. What an amazing lady. That's a perfect example of the power of an individual. There's a lady who said, I can't take this anymore. I've got to do something. And she did. So nobody here can say, well, I'm just a nobody. What am I going to do? How can I do anything? How can I change things? I'm not an elected official. Well, Belinda wasn't. Look what she did.
We the 2 million bikers in D.C., baby.
That's right. Love those bikers. And now those truckers. Now if we could just get the rest of America on board, we'll be in good shape. Can you imagine if 90 million American gun owners had marched on D.C.? Can you imagine that? 90 million gun owners.
Shut them down.
That's absolutely right. It may get to that point. Somebody said, let's go. I want to talk a little bit about what we need to get, folks, because here's how we're going to win. Here's the strategy. I know there has to be a time that you have felt overwhelmed. You may be feeling a little bit right now when you're looking at all that's going on and thinking, how are we going to get over this? How are we going to overcome this? It's too far. And when Barack Obama got his second term, and I say got because I don't want to say won, okay? When he got his second term, I was sitting in front of the television set and I went into this comatose stage. I was like, when it became apparent that there was no turning back, there was no way that we were going to get out of this. My husband, oh, by the way, this is my husband. Last year when I came, I was single, Bob. I met him at a gun range. Shock, shock. Lost my train of thought there. See, that's what happens when I look at him. Okay, back to overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed that night, and I was looking at the television set, and of course there are always guns around. In my house, there are guns everywhere. We don't put our guns in safes. They are within reach, and they're locked and loaded. They're ready to go everywhere. So anyway, we're sitting there, and there was probably 1 or 2 guns somewhere around me, and my husband is watching me watch this catastrophe happen on TV, election night catastrophe, and I was just sitting there with my jaw dropped in a coma, and he came over, and he tapped me on the shoulder. He said, honey, let's just go to bed. Let's go to bed. And I was like, he said, you can't do anything about it right now. We need to go to sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. And so I started walking to the bed. I'm just sitting there in this trance. And I was in a coma for about 15 minutes. But by the time my head hit the pillow, I was back. Because I'm a survivor. And I'm a fighter. And I want you to be a fighter. And I don't want you to ever come on the best way to get on my bad side is to come on my social media pages when something else has happened that I talk about, okay, look what our government did today, blah, 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 and come on and say, America's lost, it's doomed, it's over, we might as well run to the hills, take our guns, take our prepper stuff, and go hide out in the mountains because we don't have a chance. You know how many people did that the day after the election? Oh my goodness. Talk about discouraging. I expected that from some folks, but not my fellow patriots. I thought, oh geez, that was last night. I understood that last night for 15 minutes, but okay, this is today. It's a new day. We've got to fight back. Still today, there are people who tell me they're overwhelmed. We can't get out of this. 1 minute, okay. This is my 1 minute wrap up. This is what I need you to do. If you're feeling that way, or if you have friends that are feeling that way and talking about that, saying it's over, we might as well give up, there's no way America can turn back, it is not over. And if anybody had a chance to ever feel like it was over and to feel overwhelmed, people, if anybody had a reason in the history of this country to ever feel overwhelmed, it was our founding fathers. I want you to go back and read their story when you start having your little pity party and start feeling sorry for yourself and all of our countrymen because we've had another bad day in this battle. I want you to go back and read the story of our founding fathers. Now, if anybody, folks, had a reason to say, I give up, it was those guys. They were traipsing through the snow barefoot, trying to fight a war when they were starving to death, freezing to death, outmanned, outarmed. Did they give up? We're here today because they didn't give up.
That's right. We won't give up.
Because those guys had something, they had something that I need you to get. And I need you to get your friends to get. I need you to explain this to them. It's called true grit. It's a spirit of our founding fathers. And this is what I'm talking about. Those guys understood that sometimes some things are more important than self.
That's right.
And they understood the same thing that every noble leader, every noble warrior who has ever hoisted the American flag on his bloody shoulders and faced the choice between liberty or death and stared death in the face and spit. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's the kind of spirit we have to get, folks. And if you don't have it, I need you to go read their story. And I need you to find it. And I need you to fight back. Stand up and fight back. And always remember, folks, in this fight, an armed America is a free America.
Yeah.
God bless you.